Hi, I'm Elizabeth Moore from Marion County Children Services, and welcome to another episode of our agency podcast. I'm the foster parent and community engagement coordinator, and here with me today I have Nikki Workman. So I will go ahead and let Nikki just go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what you do.
All right, great. Thank you for having me, first of all, and thank you for all of you for listening. But my name is Nikki Workman, and I am the Communications Director at the Marion County Board of Developmental Disabilities, which you probably have seen as MCBDD. We also go by the County Board or the County Board of DD. So
awesome.
That's us.
Great. Well, we have a lot to cover, and I will go ahead and just jump right in. So you just told us a little bit about where you're from. So can you tell us what you guys serve, how you serve Marion? What do you guys do?
Very good. So we do serve the developmentally disabled population in Marion County. That consists of about 800 individuals countywide, and it is everyone from birth through death. So we literally have someone on our caseload right now that is 4 months old, and we have someone who is celebrating their 80th birthday next year. So that's about where our oldest and youngest are right now. We did have someone who was turning 80 or 90 last March, and he passed like 2 weeks before his birthday, but he was with us all 52 years that we had been in existence.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's amazing.
Yeah, lots of stories. It's a semi-complex system, but in the end, it's very simple, actually. You know, we just are here to help those in our community with developmental disabilities. That's kind of a broad term, and there are millions of diagnoses within that term. It's funny when I do lots of stories and interview a lot of people, and I always ask, what's the diagnosis? And they tell me something that I have to Google. I've never even heard of it, you know.
You're learning a lot.
I am, and I love to hear the stories and just the challenges that they overcome. And the one thing that I have learned in this position is that there's so much ability in these people with disabilities. I mean, right now we are doing employment stories. So if you log on to our Facebook page, which is at Marion County Board of DD, you will find that there is a different story every day of someone that we're serving who is either job hunting or employed in Marion County. So if you're an organization that runs a business, you may find an employee in there. And we have learned that employers end up having really great success with the people that they hire from the County Board of DD. It kind of creates a compassionate work environment, seems to lighten the mood with everyone who works there, and they also learn that there's a lot of ability in every person that we serve. So
awesome.
Cool stories, so check those out.
Yeah.
But yeah, just 0 to 3 months is our early intervention program. During that time, we work with Help Me Grow, side by side with Help Me Grow. And once they get to the 3-year mark, usually the schools end up taking over, and we take a back seat. So for the most part, the schools will end up kind of helping with the developmentally disabled population throughout the school age. If it's a very intense population with several needs, we will then help with our services as well. So we partner with schools in many instances. And I hear a lot, kind of a myth in Marion County that we shut down our school and kind of forced our kiddos into mainstream schools. And I would like to address that.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
So that's not how it happened. We did have a school. It was called Marca School, and we had at our prime about 66 school-age children. That was probably the most or the largest group of kids we had in our school. One by one, parents started to see opportunities in mainstream schools that they wanted their children to be a part of. They didn't want segregation anymore. So they started to pluck the kids out of Marca schools and put them into their school district school, right? And they found that it was a great opportunity for everyone. Their kids seemed to want to learn at a faster pace because they were seeing their typical neighbors, running and playing and learning. And so that was all a good influence on them. But as they started to do that, our school dwindled, and we closed our doors because of necessity. We had no kids left. They all had decided to go out into our community. So, but with those partnerships, with the schools. On our caseload right now, we have 187 school-age children that we are serving in one way or another. So we have 3 times the amount of school-age children that we ever had when we had our doors open for
That's
segregated.
amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
And honestly, the money followed the schools.
Right.
So when those kids left us, the funding also left. So now we are supporting those children without funding that we had when we had a school. So that's one reason, we need community support. That's just one tiny little reason,
Right.
And the fact that inflation happens and everything costs more now than it did in 1996. Those are all reasons that really we have to go out to the community and ask for money every once in a while. So that's that story.
All
so
right.
I'd like to address the school age story.
Yes.
So I appreciate you
No,
hanging in
great.
there for that. And hopefully it made sense.
Yeah, and so I wanted to kind of jump into now, since we've already started talking about some of those kids and some of the services, if you can maybe talk about, and you already said, 4 months to 80, what are some of the other age groups that you serve, and then what kind of services do they receive?
Awesome. Great question. Okay, so we've kind of talked all the way through high school,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And if you have a developmental disability, high school can actually extend to age 22. And that's up to the family and the child. So they can decide to graduate on time. They can decide to hang in there a couple more years and get some additional education. But that's a decision they make, and they can stay until they're 22 years old. So then what happens? Then we really take on full load for those students. I guess they're adults now.
Yeah.
And then they come back to us and say, what are my options, basically? And many times the family is a huge part of that conversation. The person served has lots and lots of choices, and we make sure they understand that. They are advocates for themselves. Like, we want them to make the choices. We're just kind of guiding them and showing them what is out there. Some of them want to go straight into the job market, and we can help them with that. And we have a couple stories like that on our Facebook page right now. Some of them may need some more training or socialization or some soft skill kind of training, I guess would be the word. And that they usually will go to an adult day service. Ones that we know in our community is MARCA. Wings of an Angel is fairly new here. We have Life Builders. We send people to other counties if that's where they want to attend their day services. So there's Chrysalis, which is in Bucyrus, I think. There's one in Wyandotte, Alpha Group out of Delaware. We have Marion County residents going to all of these adult day programs, and they're allowed to pick whichever one they want to go to. And they all have different offerings. Like sometimes they'll come in and go, I want to go to all of them. I want to go to all 3, and the case manager, we call them service support administrators. They're like, because their plan is going to be huge. But if that's what we want, we help them achieve that.
Awesome.
So, and we've been trying to educate the community a little bit more on that, because we have over 50 providers of services. We provide transportation. We provide just case management. They just want us to ride along until they feel like they really need more support, or they may need something very small and they want to be able to reach out to us and ask for it. So that's kind of where the case management comes into play. We also provide those employment services through our providers. I got to look at my cheat sheet and see if I'm covering everything. So, little family supports. So there may be something small, like they need a wheelchair ramp, like one and done. They just need a new wheelchair. Maybe they need a new wheelchair. Maybe they are nonverbal and they need an iPad with a piece of software where they can communicate with people.
Okay.
So we'll provide those types of things. So families will come to us with just any request that you can kind of think of. Sometimes they move into a home. And this is one thing I've learned since I worked here. Nothing is handicap accessible. Nothing. And so they'll move into a home and they have they're in a wheelchair, or their family members in a wheelchair, and they can't get through the door frame.
Oh, wow.
You
yeah,
know,
sure.
so we'll have to widen the door frames in that home to accommodate and modify it so that it fits their needs. Sometimes they need different bathroom accommodations, handles, or a different kind of commode, and we will help with all of those accommodations. So there are a multitude of ways that we will help them throughout their lives. And a lot of them, like at age 22, they hardly use us at all. They hardly need our help. They really just get case management. And as they get older or their parents age, they need more. We also have very intense situations where from day one, we know that that person is going to need lots of support and services until the day they die. And we will support them in that way as well. So we have people who get residential care. So that means that we call them DSPs. It stands for direct support professionals, and they're basically people who are support in the home. And I almost feel like they almost have like a nurse role, a financial planner role, a therapy role.
Many hats.
Yes, because they're in the home just helping this person in whatever way that they need help that day. And it's 24/7 care in some instances. Sometimes it's 2 hours a week. They go in there and just look around and make sure that their house is in order, that their bills are paid, that their fridge is full, they have food, they're eating. So it runs the gamut. I mean, we really just uncover the true needs of the person that we're serving, and then we help them as much as we can with those services.
Awesome.
So it is awesome. I mean, it's so rewarding.
You can tell, your passion is clearly coming through.
I love it. I love the people. I love our families. I mean, these are families who didn't ask to use our services. They don't want to be part of the County Board of DD. You know, they had a baby. Yeah. And the baby didn't develop fully in the womb, and they need our help as a community, you know, to allow that baby to thrive. And they do thrive. Yeah. And they have lots of abilities, you know. So, and I know, we were talking off camera, I know that every person out there has an association with someone with a developmental disability. You may think it does not affect you, and you may think you don't know anyone with a developmental disability. You do. It's not something you talk about, you know. You don't go up and say, "Hi, my name is Nikki and my kid's in a wheelchair. How about you?" You know, that doesn't come out.
Just like you don't necessarily say, "Hi, my name's Elizabeth and I'm diabetic," you know?
Exactly.
Like, this is just part of your life. And
yeah. And I mean, parents are proud of the support that they give to their developmentally disabled children. So I love to tell those stories too. On Facebook in May, we always do moms.
Oh, yes.
And I always laugh because they could go on for days, you know, and tell you, and they have a million pictures. We do dads in June, and the dads are like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, he's a good kid. Do I have a selfie? No.
Right. What's a selfie?
I mean, what? Yeah, no, we don't have any pictures of me and my kid.
Right.
So it's funny. It was
Mom probably has pictures of dad and the kid.
I do that a lot. I'll be like, okay, so in June, I'm going to need your husband.
Yeah.
And she sets me up with all that.
Yeah.
It's funny. But yeah, so we have great stories, great families that we love to support. We're very proud of our developmentally disabled community and what they have to offer Marion County.
Awesome. So as we're talking, one of the things that I think is really important that we help people in the community know is, what if we find ourselves in a position where we need those services? How do we enroll?
Excellent question. And I'm glad you asked, because we have people coming to us who have maybe a 40-year-old who they have cared for by themselves with absolutely zero support, because they either didn't know we existed or they just felt they could do it on their own. We do not ever want that, ever. So yes, if you do know of someone who ends up having a baby who has a developmental disability, usually like the doctor may refer them, or a teacher, it may be autism, and it doesn't really show up until they get into the school setting or a social setting of some sort. But like the person who had someone with just a mild intellectual disability that didn't come to us until their child was 40 years old, don't let them do that. Like, if they're in IEP classes and the school supporting them, but they feel like they really could use some more support, have them come to the County Board of DD. They can call us. Our phone number is 740-387-1035. We do also have a website, and it's www.marioncountydd.org. And on there, there's a tab that says Getting Started. And you do need some paperwork to get started. Like if you have Medicaid paperwork, we'll need that. We'll need a Social Security number. We need a formal diagnosis, those types of things. But it's fairly simple to get enrolled, and someone will help you. We have a person on staff, her name is Tabitha Butcher, and she does all of the intake, and she'll walk you through the process the entire way. And then we have an assessment that we do, and there's 7 milestones that we kind of review, and if they need support in 3 of the 7 milestones, you are deemed eligible for services from us.
Okay.
So those are 2 call us or go on our website and kind of check out what the details are to get started, but don't go without support if you can get the support.
Yeah, and that's great advice for everybody.
Yes, like even school-age children. It's funny because a lot of the parents will opt out of our services completely because it is a little bit tedious. We have a plan that we have the family create with goals, which is called an ISP, an individual service plan. The schools have an IEP, and sometimes families just don't want to do both.
Sure.
But they may need that iPad with software, and the school can't give them that, and doesn't, they have it during the school day, so it's not a necessity for them to purchase it for them in their home. We can sometimes help with that if they're enrolled for services. So I encourage even parents of school-age children to check out what we have to offer and loop in for case management. And you may just get a phone call once a month that says, hey, is everything going okay? And if it is, you say yes, and you've got that support if you need it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then like you said, when the kids get older, maybe but you're already enrolled in the services.
Right. Yeah. And you're familiar with the case managers, and we're super proud too that we finally have a full staff of case managers. We have struggled to keep them because we have not been able to give raises and all those good perks that go along with the job, and they go to other counties. But we have a full staff, and they are very committed to MCBDD. Many of them are Marion County residents, so it's super exciting to see just that team that has been built, and I think they're here to stay, which is great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Investing in their community.
Yes, yeah, and it's probably great for any parent who is listening that uses our services, because some of them have had like 6 different people. Yeah, 6 case managers in a year, and it's maddening because you have to tell your story over every time.
Right.
So we're hoping those days are over.
Yes,
and we have a great staff.
I think any county or direct support agency goes through that
for sure.
So.
Yeah.
Wow, we've talked a lot.
I talked a lot.
It's great
Sorry.
though. No, don't apologize. So this question, I feel like we answered on one side, but maybe I am a community person who wants to be involved. Maybe you're talking about a lot of things, and I'm like, maybe I could offer some sort of help. What are some ways that people could get involved?
Ooh, what a good question, and a loaded one at that.
Yeah.
Just tell your neighbor that it's important to support the work of the County Board of DD. That's super easy.
Sharing this information.
Yes.
I mean, I can't think about, I have learned a lot just in this conversation.
Good, great.
So I feel like, that is helpful too. People don't know what all is happening out
and
there.
honestly, we can't do any more at the county board to educate. We need our supporters and friends of DD and parents to start telling their stories to their circles. We need those circles to grow. We need that web to just expand to all of Marion County. So so easy. You don't even have to lift a finger. You just talk. And if you want to do that, that's a great way you can volunteer for the county board. Just support what we do and tell 10 people that you support what we do.
Check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's a really good way. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then if you see our stories and something resonates, especially with these employer stories, pass it on to your friends who hire and say,
Yeah.
hey, I saw this kid on Marion County Board of DD's Facebook page. They're looking for employment. Why don't you give them a shot, you know? And there's really no risk to employers because they have job coaches that come in and correct any kind of you know, any improvements or training that they need to make. That job coach will work with them directly.
Wow.
So yeah.
Through you guys?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, through our providers.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's really a no risk situation and a lot to win, a lot to gain.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I love that question. And there's
Thank
lots of
you.
super easy ways. So
okay, so how does your agency, so of course, you know, we're an agency and you're an agency, but we know that we partner with a lot of people in the community. And so we are hoping that Marion sees all of these great partnerships. So how does your agency and our agency partner together?
Oh, wow.
Or how do you guys fit into child protection?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, our caseloads definitely cross consistently. So many developmental disabilities may happen because there was a opiate issue, and that child, because of the opiate issue of the parent, ends up having a developmental delay. So that is one way where you're likely involved in that situation, and we are also likely involved. We partner with Children's Services on many instances, and definitely both are very, you know, we just want to make the community better, and the children in our community have lots of choices and options to change their world, you know, and we want to support them in any way we can.
Yeah, I do think like we see a lot of partnerships, especially with some of the providers that you're talking about. I'm like, you know, Help Me Grow. We are always making referrals there. And so I'm sure there is a lot of coinciding that's happening along the way that, you know, people again, probably just didn't know.
Yeah. And
don't know what's happening in the background.
Oh, it's so true. And it's all, like I said, it's kind of complex, but it's really super simple at the end. But it's hard for the County Board of DD to be understood because we are like way in the background. So like we're the top of the organization, and then we have 50 providers that are providing some of the different services that I talked to you about. So like that homemaker personal care where they're going into the resident's home and helping them with their needs, or it's a day program, or it's transportation, or it's some home modification. Over 50 providers. They're the ones that the community kind of sees more often. So they're like, what's the county board do? Because it looks like they're doing all the work. Well, they kind of are. You know, we're administering it, we're financing it, we're making sure that those providers have all the tools and know all the rules because there are a million of them. We have a staff member, an investigative agent, because this population is vulnerable. They are loving, they are trusting, they just want acceptance and to be socialized. And so they make bad decisions on their friend choices sometimes. And sometimes they're taken advantage of, or there's neglect cases, or just their money is stolen. I mean, just all kinds of things. So we have a person who, I always call him a bulldog because he's just, if something happens to our people, he's gonna make it right. He's going to make that wrong right. And he is very good at it and has a passion for the work as well. So that's something the community has no idea we offer. Yeah. So just lots of little pieces, like you said, that we all work on together and partner together with. And it's so important. I mean, I saw Brad DeCamp was on here. And we work with some of his providers on regular occasions. And Adam H is kind of similar. You know, they're like the overarching, they're paying for the services, and then there's providers doing the work. It's very similar to us.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
If you've watched my podcast, we always have a secret question or one that hasn't been prepped. So I'll get to that in a minute, but do you want to talk about the upcoming event that you guys are having?
Thank you. Yes. So we know trick or treat is tricky this year, no pun intended. So I know that there's probably going to be some limited opportunities for our community members. We are going to have a drive-through trick or treat. So you dress the kiddos up in their favorite costumes and get their little baskets together, and they just come through in the car, and agencies such as Children's Services and even just community members who want to get involved and pass out candy are going to come and pass out candy as you drive down the row. So we cleared it with the health department, and it meets all of the social distancing guidelines and all of the requirements for safety. So we are allowed to have this event. So it's a drive-through trick-or-treat. It's at the County Board of DD. So if you're familiar with the new overpass that we have over by Harding, it is nice. So it's at the very foot of that overpass if you're coming from Harding High School. And you enter the senior centers on your right, and then you'll just drive that whole long service road all the way out to the intermodal. And we'll have people passing out treats the whole way. Awesome. So it's on Wednesday, October 28th, rain or shine, from 4:30 to 6:30. Everyone's invited. So all abilities and all ages are welcome to attend. Awesome. And then we also are asking some businesses and community members and agencies to join in as well. As we said, Children's Services is going to be there. Yep. They're always a wonderful partner. And we're calling them Candy Crusaders. So we need some Candy Crusaders as well. So if you are interested in being a part of that, go ahead and give me a call. My phone number is 740-375-6112, and we will put you on that Candy Crusader list. So
awesome.
So thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah, very exciting.
We're hoping for a good turnout since there's a
minimal opportunities otherwise.
You don't even have to get out of your car. If it's raining out, we get wet, but you don't get wet.
Right.
So come and join us.
Maybe I'll have other people volunteer for that event.
Depending on the weather.
I'll bring my kids. How about that?
Perfect.
There we go.
Yes, definitely bring your kids.
So I feel like as we're talking that this will be a fairly easy question on you.
Okay, let's hope.
Because we've talked a lot about some of the stories. So I'd love if you would share, and I'll give you a minute to think about it, if you want to share a story with everybody. So
can I share 50?
No, right? Just one so we can wrap up. But I will link all of the information on the description of this video about some of the events and things that Nikki's talking about, and to the website and the phone number and everything. You'll be able to find that in the description, and I'll also probably have it displayed nicely across the bottom of the video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to them. They're very open and willing to share about their services and everything that they're doing for our awesome community. So did you pick one?
So I've got one that's really easy because I just did it.
Oh, sure.
And it's a great success story. So we have James, who came to us from another county, and when he came to Marion County Board of DD, he needed 24/7 care. So he literally had someone in his home or with him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He did attend a day program, so he did have that time, but he was still heavily supervised. As he learned the County Board of DD and his case manager, and he gained some trust, we started to talk to James about maybe some independence. And little by little, we started taking some hours away from him because we just felt like he didn't need us. He had a lot of ability to uncover. And little by little, we started kind of pulling back on those hours. And now I'm super happy to announce that James just got hired by Whirlpool. He's going to be a part-time employee at Whirlpool. He lives on his own in the community with a roommate. And now instead of that 24-hour care that he has just minimal drop-in services, like a few hours every week. And then he also does have what we call remote services. So he has an electronic device and some cameras set up in his apartment. So if he does feel the need to have a staff member, he can call them right away, and there's a screen that comes up and they talk to him.
Wow,
and
awesome.
Either they come out because he needs something, he needs some kind of help, or they walk him through how he can do it on his own. So James is a huge success story.
Yeah.
Like, we're super, super proud of him. And he, like I said, that's one of a million.
I like to read those. I do read those on my Facebook page. And
yeah.
I know you talked about the moms. I read the moms. I read all of that.
Great.
But I like obviously talking about people, and of course,
if you're sick of bad news,
get enough of good news.
Follow our page. You will get a dose of good news every single day. So something new,
necessary for sure. And I love that because obviously you guys are providing a lot of services and support, but helping him find his own independence.
Absolutely. That's
like
the goal.
He had it. It was just
it was in him.
Tapping into that.
For sure.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
And that is always the goal. Our mission at the county board is helping people live, learn, and earn in Marion County. And part of that is making sure they get the most inclusion and independence humanly possible. And that's our goal always.
And it really makes our entire community better.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
awesome.
I mean, if you just meet James or one person, your heart will grow 3 sizes.
Awesome.
It's the best.
That's great. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for being on, and thank you again for watching. If you have any questions, or if you have an agency or organization that you'd like to see featured on one of our podcast episodes, please feel free to contact me. And of course, any questions about the agency in general, feel free to reach out, and I will get all of that information also down below on the bottom of the screen. Thank you. We appreciate the time that you took to listen and to learn and to find out a little bit more about our community. Thanks.
Thank you.